Yes. Moving forward, looking at the agenda, we have the walkthrough of our release notes for our latest version 2.9.0 by Amit. And then, as Prag mentioned, he'll be showcasing a demo on managing chaos workflows via Litmus CTL. And then we can have the question and answer round by you guys. All right. Without any further delay, Amit, the podium is all yours.
Thanks, Sarita. Let me share my screen.
Sure.
I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, Amit.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Amit Kumar Das. I'm a senior software engineer at Harness, and I'm a core contributor to LitmusChaos. And today I'll be going through all the new changes and the fixes we have added with the 2.9.0 release. So so let's get started. So starting off with the core component updates, we have some major improvements in the core components. So we have added the GCP instance top and disk fill experiment by label, which supports multiple target selections using a common labels. And we have refactored the GCP disk loss experiment. And there were some enhancements made in the EC2 terminate experiment checks, where the validations are through AWS APIs instead of the Kubernetes APIs. And we have added the GCP IAM integration through workload identity of keyless authentication in GK clusters. And there were some fixes made in the Litmus SDK, which introduces the default app health check feature in the SDK template. And there were also some error handling missing earlier. So these have been fixed to validate the app info. And moving on, like we have fixes in the chaos injection in OpenShift. So these can be tuned with this tunable the set helper data. And so we have also added a process kill experiment, which is currently in beta stage. And this can be run with the help of M-Agent. So this is the M-Agent we are currently working on to inject chaos on various environments. And there were some fixes in the default values of chaos tunables in stress chaos experiments. And in the chaos charts repository, like we have made some cleanup basically and removed some older workflows, older and stale workflows. And we are currently retaining only the active workflows, which are currently getting used by the community and the members. And there were some fixes made in the documentation for stress chaos experiments, which also introduces the documentation for GCP IAM integration. And also with M-Agent, the E2 pipeline is now added, which includes the tests for process kill experiments. So these were some of the updates and the new changes we have got in the core components. And moving on to the Chaos Center updates. So we have made some major improvements in the Chaos Center this time around. So we got a lot of issues from the community regarding the API docs and the API formats. If a user is using Litmus Chaos Center with its APIs. So starting off, like there was one issue with 2.8 that the weights and the experiment mapping was not visible in the front end or in the UI. So let me show the Chaos Center. And so in 2.8, if we schedule a workflow and see its statistics, so these values were not coming up. The statistics values were not coming up. And also like the resiliency score and all the weights of the individual experiments were not popping up. So we have updated the logic a bit, and these are now visible for all the workflows that you create with 2.9 Chaos Center. So for a failed case, I can see that the verdicts are failed and the resulting points are 0. So this issue is fixed with 2.9. And along with it, the major change in this version was with the GQL server APIs and the better documentation of it. Like I can club these two values, these 2 points together. So we have updated the API docs and we have updated the GraphQL server APIs as well. So if I can show, I have the GraphQL API running. So previously, the naming conventions were very random. Like there were a lot of parameters which were using camel case, some were using Pascal case, and some were using snake case. So we have standardized it, and also the naming convention is changed. So now we are only using the camel case values. So we can see that the initial letter is small and then we have the capital letter. And this change is made to all the API's queries and also to all the API parameters. So if I take any of the mutations, let me take the create chaos workflows. So we can see that the input parameter consists of all the values which are in camel case. And also one more change which we have standardized is like we'll be taking requests instead of any random values. So previously we were taking the request as some random name like create a workflow, create cron workflow, and something like that. So like if we have multiple input requests, we'll send it as a request. And we can see this change in some other APIs as well. So we have the request here in the mutation. Similarly, if there are less number of values, we'll provide the individual input parameters like project ID, workflow run. So that was one of the change we have added. And the APIs are actually refactored as well. The naming convention is changed as well. So for all the get related APIs, we'll use the naming convention starting with get, and then the noun, and then all the verbs. So get manifest, get agent details. And similarly for listing of a resource, we have added the name as list in the beginning, and after that the operation name. So list workflows, list clusters, and similarly list predefined workflows, etc. And moving on, like we have also updated the API documentation. So this was actually very outdated, and we got a lot of queries from the community as well. There were a lot of users who were using the API docs, and it was very inconsistent previously. So in this update, we have actually updated all the input parameters and whether these are mandatory or these are optional. So the APIs are actually listed here, as well as the format is also listed in the API docs. So let me show an example. Like if I want to create a workflow, then these are the mandatory fields which are required: the workflow manifest, the workflow name, weightages, is it a custom workflow? We need the project ID and the cluster ID. And also we have added a field which is already there, but it wasn't maintained. So like if we want to add a workflow manifest, then it has to be escape JSON format of the workflow YAML. So some of the possible values are added in all the APIs from this release. So we can see that the possible values for pagination can also be seen here, and for sorting and for filtering as well. So the major improvement was made in the documentation side as well. And not only a single API, actually we have updated all the APIs in the documentation. So if you are one of the users who is using the Chaos Center with this API, you can probably take a look. And if you find any inconsistency, do report us in the Slack channel. And yeah, so moving on to the other updates of Chaos Center. So we have added a support for custom image registry inside the Chaos experiment CRD with the custom image registry functionality. So let me just quickly share that image registry functionality. Yeah. So by default, we use the docker.io LitmusChaos registry. So for now, like I have changed it to some custom values. So this is my Docker image registry. And if I try to schedule a workflow now, I should see the changes in Chaos experiment CRD as well. So let me add a Chaos experiment, and yeah, let me check the manifest. Yeah. So earlier in this workflow manifest, all the workflow level images were getting updated with the image registry. So we can see that the registry which I have selected is displayed here, but the Chaos experiment CRDs were not getting updated. So with this update, we have also made sure that the data within the Chaos experiment is also getting updated with the updated image registry value. So let me go a bit down, and I can see that the image is taking the actual image registry which I have provided in the settings. So this was one of the fixes we have done with Chaos Center. And let me save the changes, and I'll keep it right here. Since we have added one more changes along with it. So also the revert chaos step was taking the latest tag instead of the version tag. So let me click next, and I'll just go to the end and I'll view the manifest. I should have the revert chaos available here. Yeah. So the revert chaos option is there, but in the image we were taking the latest version instead of the current version. So this has also been fixed along with this update. And yeah, so there were also some updates made in the namespace scope manifest to reduce the complexity within the installation instructions. And there were some issues with the event tracker namespace mode. There were some permission issues, and these are also fixed. And there were some issues in subscriber as well, where the error handling was not done properly, and some different errors were displayed in different operations. So these are also fixed. And also in the upgrade agent control play upgrade agent, there were also some error handlings were like random, they were missing. So these are also fixed, and these were getting error out in panic state. So we have updated it to a warning. So it will not crash. Instead, it will show a warning. So you guys can fix it. So yeah, so these were some of the major changes from the core as well as the chaos center side. And along with that, we have also updated Litmus CTL. So since we have updated the APIs, then the Litmus CTL will also need the API related changes. So the APIs with the new schemas are also added in Litmus CTL. And the props, there were some similar issues of random error messages, which are also fixed along with this release with Litmus CTL. So one major concern is like with 2.9.0, the Litmus CTL, the supported Litmus CTL version is 0.1.0, because since the APIs are changed, and if you use any previous version of Litmus CTL like we have here, like if we use some previous version, then these are not compatible, since the APIs will be different in these cases. So with 2.9, 0.10 is supported. So these were some of the release notes and the changes along with 2.9 release. So I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. So any questions?
This is Raj. I'm from FIS. Thanks for this, Amit. That's great. I have a few questions. One, so I'll start from the last one, the versioning that you mentioned. Is there any way that is a table or something like that that displays the compatible versioning? Because each component looks like its own version, right? That's at least my understanding. I may be wrong. Like event tracker, subscriber, operator. So and that's on the agent side, and you on the control plane side, you have like in a front-end server, back-end server, whatnot, right? So how do I know? And now you're Litmus Cuttle, right? That's another component, right?
Yes.
Which is its own versioning. Is there any version compatibility kind of a matrix or something like that that will help us?
Yeah. So hi Raj. So thanks for the question. So currently, like, we don't have any mapping as such. Like if you want to update from one version to another, then you have to use the upgrade agent. And yeah, you are right. Like in the Chaos Center, we were showing the server side version and everything, but we don't show the agent component versions, right? So that's one thing that we can we were probably thinking to add to show the compatibility of individual agent side components. So this was actually the agent versions are actually mapped with the server version to show if we have any upgrade available. So like instead we can add some values here which shows the agent side version as well. So for upgrading, it will be helpful for the user, right? So like currently we don't have any metrics as such, but yeah, that's actually a good requirement that we can add for the further releases.
Yeah, because often we run into that kind of questions and problems, right? Especially when you're releasing. So we are on 2.4 currently. We're going to go to 2.9 very soon. Because of that helper data issue that you fixed, we were talking with your team earlier. The set helper data thing, the duplicate IP, that So but the thing is, we will run this problem compatibility, right? Which version of agent compatible with which version of control plane? Yep.
Yeah, sure.
And so, other question is on the sorry. Go ahead.
Just wanted to add one thing, Raj. It's a good feedback. We'll note it down about the version compatibility, but as part of our upgrade process, right? So Amit, as he explained, so once you have the version of Litmus version 2.9, if the agent is on lesser version, so it will be marked as upgrade. So you have to upgrade. Other than that, it will not work. So it is forced. It's like enforced to make sure that the agents work with the respective control plane components. So that is managed from the code. But yeah, it's a good one to document the same as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
And one more thing, like we can probably add the versioning in this agent table as well. So the user will be aware like currently which version of agent they are using. So yeah, that's a good feedback. Yeah.
And other things, the usage statistics or analytics that you are showing earlier, right? That was was not working earlier. Yeah. And in combination that with the API, rewrite. Is this kind of functionality exposed as an API? Because our requirement is, right, as we roll out Litmus as a kind of more of an enterprise level tool, right? We want to do some level of enterprise reporting, right? Which team is doing what, right? And integrate into some level of dashboard that we have, right? So providing an APIs of this would be really helpful so that we can report up, see, hey, how much maturity, how much usage of each team is doing, etc. Right? So that would be really helpful. I don't know, you have APIs for this?
Yes, Raj. Actually, we have an API which shows all the details related to this, the resiliency score, the experiment stats. So there's an API called as list workflow runs, and in that we actually show all the workflow run details. I think it should be here, list workflows. Yeah. So in this API, we actually show all the details here, like the weights and everything. And for every run, we have an execution data. So with that, we in that API, like we have all the details of these runs, the stats of these runs. So yeah, so the API is there actually.
Okay, great. I think that's all I got.
Yeah, those were some great feedbacks, Raj. We'll surely take a look. Yeah. So any more questions?
Actually, I have one more question. Now I recall. If you go back to release notes, you have something related to the agent, right? So is it like agent? At what level it is? Like more of a, it's for prime time, still in its beta stages. In other words, can we use agent kind of in our, in our testing or in our higher environments?
Okay, hi Raj, Nilanjan here. Perhaps I'd like to take this question. So with regards to agent, right now we are in a beta stage. Earlier we were in an alpha stage, and you can say that right now we are in a beta stage where we are actually encouraging the users in our community to use agent, use it on their environments, and we can therefore incorporate the feedback that we can receive, and then that feedback will be basically be used to make the product better. So with regards to this, yes, you can definitely go ahead, install agent, run some of the agent-based experiments. We currently have a process skill experiment which you can run, and it is a very safe experiment, as you'll be able to see through the Litmus C2E dashboard. It is working well, and it can basically inject process skill chaos within your machines, be it virtual machines, bare metal nodes, whatever you want. We even have a second experiment in the pipeline right now. It's called the CPU stress experiment, and as the name suggests, it is able to hog the CPU resources within your target machines, and you can even target multiple virtual and physical nodes using this experiment. So yeah, maybe it will be available by the next release, but that would be also a great feature addition to our agent suite of experiments. So now comes the question that how you can use them. Well, if you will go to github.com/litmuschaos/magent, there you will find a usage doc. And that usage doc will actually equip you with all the related pieces of information that you would need to install agent, run agent, and you can therefore see like how these pieces fit together.
Yep, great. Thank you, Nilanjan and Amit. And as well, I have a next question that looks like it's answered here. So currently you support Linux operating system only, right? No plans for Windows, or do you have any plans for Windows in the near future?
Of course, with incremental builds, we are definitely looking forward to increasing to Windows as well. As you might understand that 95% of the machines over here are working in the cloud. Whenever like you are working in the cloud, these are the Linux machines. So we are primarily targeting upon the Linux for our beta phase, but as the product matures, we will be definitely taking a shot at Windows as well. That's for sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, organizations like us, right? We have all over, right? We have cloud, non-cloud, a lot of legacy workloads. In the legacy also, you have a Linux and quite a few Windows, right? It's even surprising to us sometimes how many workloads run on Windows platform, right? So that's really helpful to have something like that. Yeah, great, thank you.
Sure thing, Raj. I would actually encourage you to create perhaps some issues in the agent repository as well if you think that we can add some good feature additions to the Windows early. If you think that that would be a great value addition alongside the Litmus, of course. So excuse me, Linux, of course. So yeah, I mean, feel free to create issues. We'll be definitely taking a look at those.
Yep, will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Sarita, I think that was all from my side. I'll be stop sharing my screen. Yeah.
Thank you, Amit, for sharing this with us, and thank you, Raj, for the questions. Now we can move on to Prayag. Prayag, if you can share your screen.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Is it visible?
Yes, Prayag, it is.
Okay. Yeah, so here I have the Chaos Center running, and my demo is related to Litmus CTL. And so we have added a few new commands here. First thing, when we want to use Litmus CTL, is to sort of configure it. So I'll point it to the current instance of the Chaos Center that is running. Next thing is to see what projects do I have. One project is already made by default, and the stage project is the one I'll be working on. Next is to see that if you have any active agents in that particular project, that we can target our chaos workflow to that particular agent. We have an agent. Now the new command that we worked on was to create a workflow. So as you can see, the CTL create workflow, you pass in the workflow manifest and the project and the agent. And then the APIs that Amit showed before, we use them to create the chaos workflow. Now here I have, so this is an example chaos workflow manifest. You define your chaos experiments, your chaos engines, reward chaos, etc. So we have that manifest, and we run this command. And we have to point it correct project and the correct agent. The message you see here is that you have to define a weightage for every chaos experiment. If you don't, then this command line application will default it to 10. And then you can see that your chaos workflow has been successfully created. And since this was a non-cron workflow, the next run will be scheduled immediately. So we come here and see we have a chaos workflow. So the next command in this journey is to get workflows. Basically, in get workflows, you can filter by agent. If you have multiple agents and you are scheduling workflows in them, you can filter by agent. And there is also all and count in case you have a huge amount of workflows. Here we'll be listing the workflows for this particular project. So the information shows you is the workflow ID, name, the workflow type, and the agent that is in charge to run that workflow. And one variation here in the output you will see if you try to schedule a cron workflow. So in case for cron workflow, right after you create a workflow, you'll see that when the actual workflow run will be scheduled for this workflow. And when you do get workflows, you will again see that when is the next schedule for this particular cron workflow. And just like workflows, we can also list workflow runs. And here you can see that only one workflow run will be listed, which is from the non-cron workflow. And you can see the status, the resiliency score, and the when it was run basically. So that is the create and the get commands. And then we also have delete workflow. So you've taken the workflow ID, which is this cron workflow. Now that workflow is successfully deleted. And if we come back here, we'll again have only one workflow. And we also added a new command for describing a particular workflow. And then you pass in the workflow ID. So basically get the workflow manifest, just like you do kubectl display, and you'll get the manifest. You'll get the manifest of the chaos workflow itself. And one more thing that I show. So here you see that it's showing one of one workflows. Now I'll take you to another project. So I'll again fetch the projects that I have here and then try to list the workflows for this particular project. So you'll see if you have a huge amount of workflows, in this case, there are 40 total workflows created in this particular project. And instead of logging up to a terminal, it will show you that show you only 30 workflows, and you can configure a sort of count. So you want to see 10 workflows, you can see 10 workflows. All the same information is shown for all the workflows. And yeah, if you want to see all of them, so let's do all, you will see all of them. And again, as I had mentioned before, with the agent flag, you can filter them depending on the agent that you have targeted to work with. And yeah, that's basically it. So create, get, and delete sort of the basic operations that you can perform with chaos workflows. And we're trying to get them merged. And so you should be able to use them in the next release of LitmusCTL. And yeah, share whatever feedback you guys have, and we will work on it. Thank you. In case anybody has any questions on this.
Yes, Prayag, we do have a question in the chat. LitmusCTL uses kubectl under the hood by Jonathan. So would you like to clarify on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Jonathan, we are using kubectl just for applying the manifest. The other operations like workflows and all are coming from the APIs.
Okay, I got it. Because here in my company, we as I said before, we are creating a POC. I'm working on a POC with Litmus. I already tested Gremlin and Chaos Mesh, but we have a kind of limitation because we don't have access to kubectl. We don't allow other users to use kubectl for security reasons. So in this case, LitmusCTL will not fit our, the LitmusCTL will not be useful for us, right? Because we don't have access to kubectl.
Yeah, so the use case is like if you're using Golang client for Kubernetes without using kubectl, then the user has needs to be it has the permission to schedule the, to apply the manifest. If it doesn't have the permission, it will not permit the user to do any operation. So yeah, currently we are not supporting without.
Yeah, the UI is the solution for us, I think, and the UI is working very well, and yeah, that's it. Thanks for answering.
Sure. Do we have any other questions?
Thank you, Praga. It was a very nice time. Good work.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Prayag, for the demo. We can end the sync-up, but yes, we have Matt joining us for the first time. So hello, Matt.
Hey, everybody. How are you? I can go on camera for a little bit, but I'm new to the community too. I used to work with Gremlin, and now I'm working with Harness and Litmus. So excited to be here and learn from y'all and help out. I'm in Minnesota, so Central Time Zone. So it's the afternoon lunch hour for me. So cool hanging out with you in your evening. So appreciate being here.
Thank you so much for joining in. We host this community call every third Wednesday of the month. So yes, hoping to see you again.
Yeah, love the community. So thanks.
Sure, we can end the call. So thank you so much for joining in, and you can always use a Slack to communicate your doubts and get them clarified. And yes, see you soon next month.